Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take all that raw material, the articles, the notes, the research, and we distill it down into the kind of knowledge that really prepares you for the world.
Or in today's case, for paradise.
Exactly. Today we are on let's say, a truly luxurious mission.
We're deep diving into Mauritius, the so-called jewel of the Indian Ocean. I mean, everyone knows it for the turquoise lagoons, the volcanic landscapes.
Yeah.
It just sets this incredibly high bar for any destination.
And you can't even begin to talk about Mauritius without that Mark Twain quote immediately coming to mind, can you? It just hangs over the whole island.
Mauritius was made first and then heaven, and heaven was copied after Mauritius.
Right.
It's beautiful, but it also creates this marketing expectation that's almost impossible to live up to.
And that's our mission today, isn't it? To cut through all that brochure hype and figure out if modern Mauritius actually, lives up to that poetic ideal, especially for a traveler who wants more.
We're going beyond just the resort life.
Way beyond. Our listener wants the real depth. We're talking the true cost, the cultural nuances, the really complex history, and just the character of the island once you step outside those 5-star gates.
And you've got a fantastic stack of sources here. Logistics, regional guides, food, ethics, everything you'd need.
Yeah, everything to get past the marketing. So we're going to cover the essentials, right?
Absolutely. The big things.
Yeah.
Like the huge commitment it takes just to get there.
And how surprisingly rugged the inside of the island is, like the Black River Gorges.
And the food. The incredible story told through its food. That melting pot of flavors.
And we have to get into the historical sites. Le Mont Brabant, Provasi Ghat. These aren't just stops on a tour. They're fundamental to understanding the place.
They're the soul of the island.
Okay, let's unpack this. And we have to start with the cold, hard logistics because, before you can worry about the sunsets, you have to worry about your calendar and your wallet.
Yeah.
So we need to be really upfront here. Mauritius takes a significant commitment. This is not a quick little weekend getaway. The journey itself is a huge part of the experience.
That's the baseline you have to start from. The distance just dictates everything else. I mean, if you're flying direct from Europe, a major hub, you're already looking at 12 hours minimum.
And from the U.S. East Coast, forget about it.
It's basically double that.
Yeah.
They're connecting through Europe or the Middle East. So your total travel time, once you add in layovers, is easily pushing past 20 hours.
And that journey costs a lot.
It's not a budget destination, no. You have to budget, somewhere between $800 to $1,500 or euros per person.
Just for the flights.
Just for the flights. And that price can swing wildly depending on the season when you book. But it's a major hurdle you have to clear right at the start.
Which brings us to timing. Because if you're spending that much time and money,
then the timing of your trip goes from being just a preference to being absolutely critical. You can't endure a 20-hour flight and spend thousands just to have the weather betray you.
Okay, so let's break down the seasons, because getting this wrong feels like it could ruin the whole thing.
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
So you've basically got two main seasons. There's the summer from November to April. It's hot, very humid, and rainy.
Which sounds a bit tough for exploring inland.
It can be, yeah. Then you have the winter from May to October. That's cooler, much drier, and generally more pleasant.
But there's a specific danger hiding in that summer period, right? The big one.
The cyclone season.
Right.
The risk really peaks from January to March. And look, the island is well prepared, but even if you don't get a direct hit, a cyclone passing hundreds of miles away can mean 3, 4, maybe 5 straight days of just torrential rain, high winds, gray skies.
So you've paid for a turquoise lagoon and you're staring at a stormy, miserable sea.
Exactly. And after that journey, the disappointment will be huge.
So if we pull all the data together, weather, crowds, prices, where's the sweet spot? When should you go?
The best window is definitely between May and December. But if you want, perfection, the sources all point to September through November.
Why then, specifically?
The humidity is down, the temperatures are just beautiful, warm enough for the beach, but cool enough for a serious hike. And crucially, you get in just before the huge Christmas and New Year's price surge.
Okay, so you've timed it right. You've landed at Sir Siwasaga Ramgoolam International Airport.
Yeah.
And you're in the southeast, which is not where most people are staying.
Right. You've still got a ways to go. The main tourist hubs are in the north, like Grand Bay, or the west, like Flake on Flack.
And a taxi to, say, Grand Bay could take what?
Easily 90 minutes. And those transfers are not cheap. Which brings us to, I think, the single most important logistical tip for the entire trip.
It's not negotiable from what I've read.
Absolutely. You have to rent a car.
You just have to.
There's no way around it. If you're going to spend all that time and money to get there, You cannot be trapped by expensive hotel transfers or, relying on buses. The freedom a car gives you is essential to finding the real Mauritius.
And that's the whole point of this deep dive.
It's the only way to justify the expense, really.
I know some people get nervous about driving in a new country, so what's it actually like on the ground?
Well, you drive on the left, first off. It's a former British colony. The main roads are actually in very good shape.
But I sense a but.
But you need to be a defensive driver. The source material talks about the enthusiasm of the local bus drivers.
Enthusiasm, I like that.
Let's just say they keep things moving. And you might get the occasional stray dog or a slow moped, but it's manageable.
So a little bit of friction, but the freedom it buys you is worth it.
It's more than worth it. Without the car, you're a prisoner of the resort. The car is what lets you have a real cultural adventure. It's the key that unlocks this next big question. Where on this island do you actually want to stay?
Right, because the island is small, maybe 40 miles across? But the vibe is completely different depending on where you are.
It's a huge decision for a first-timer. You're not just picking a hotel. You're picking a whole lifestyle for your trip.
So let's start in the north, with Grand Bay. It sounds like that's the main hub.
It is. It's tourist central. The vibe is active. It's busy. It's lively. If you want 100 options for restaurants, bars, shops, dive operators, all within walking distance, this is it.
And the beaches are good there.
Oh, yeah. The beaches are stunning. Pirabir, Montchoisy.
Yeah.
They're often very sheltered, so you get that classic, calm, turquoise water you see in the pictures.
What's the downside?
The downside is that it can feel a little overdeveloped. Some of the sources describe it as being almost like a Mauritian theme park. It sacrifices a bit of that authentic feel for pure convenience.
Okay, so that's for people who want action. What about the West?
The West Coast, especially a place like Flick on Flack, is a fantastic balance. It has this really long, beautiful public beach, but the feel is a bit more laid back, more local.
And it has the sunsets.
It has the killer sunsets. That's a huge draw. And then if you go further south in the west, you hit Lemoine.
Which is synonymous with luxury. This is the postcard image of Mauritius.
Totally. You have that incredible, iconic Lemoine Brabant mountain just looming over these five-star resorts like the St. Regis or the LUX Lemoine. It's paradise for kite surfing, all the high-end stuff.
But it's also very isolated.
Extremely isolated. And that has a real cost, right? If you're staying there, you're kind of a captive audience for the hotel's expensive restaurant.
Right, so you're either eating on-site for a fortune or you're getting in that rental car for every single meal.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. You get this unparalleled beauty and peace, but you're dependent.
Yeah.
It's perfect for a honeymoon where you don't want to leave, but less so for an explorer.
Okay, let's swing over to the east, Belmar Plage. This sounds like a different kind of luxury.
It is. The East is all about exclusive, secluded luxury. It's much less developed. You have these massive, sprawling resorts, often with their own championship golf courses.
It's the kind of place you check into and just stay.
That's exactly who it's for. The traveler who wants to unpack once and not think about the outside world for a week.
And the weather there is different, too. Those trade winds are a big factor.
A huge factor. The East Coast is always breezier, always a bit cooler. In the hot, humid summer, that breeze is a lifesaver.
But in the winter.
In the cooler winter months, say June or July, that breeze can actually feel a bit chilly, especially in the evenings. It might push you indoors more than you'd like.
Okay, finally, the South. This sounds like the wild card. Rugged, untamed.
The South is a whole different world. Around places like Gris Gris or Bel-Ombre, you get these dramatic cliffs with waves crashing against them. Not calm lagoons, it's wild.
And way less touristy.
Far less. You'll find more guest houses, little eco-lodges, family-run places, fewer big resorts.
So who is this for?
This is for the dedicated nature lover, the hiker, someone who wants to see the raw, dramatic side of the island. I wouldn't recommend it as a main base for a first-timer.
Maybe a day trip or a couple of nights?
Exactly. Use that rental car, base yourself in the west, and then go explore the south for a day or two.
This all leads us back to the big money question. All-inclusive or not, it's so tempting to just lock in all your costs.
It is, but the sources are unanimous on this. Going all-inclusive in Mauritius is a massive strategic error.
A mistake.
A huge one. Because the food scene is so central to the culture, to the history of the island, locking yourself into a hotel buffet 3 times a day means you are willfully missing the point of being there.
So the recommendation is what? Bed and breakfast?
Yeah.
Half board at most.
At the absolute most. Get the B&B. It forces you to use that car, to get out, explore the villages, find the local spots.
And actually engage with the culinary story of the island.
So if you're only eating inside the resort, you're just paying a premium for a generic international product. The adventure is outside the gates.
Well, on that note, let's get into what that culinary adventure actually tastes like. The food here, it's like an edible history lesson. It's not just a menu, it's a narrative.
That's the perfect way to put it. You have French colonial techniques, a huge wave of Indian indentured laborers, a Chinese diaspora, and the foundational African population, all in the same kitchen.
And to understand the food is to understand how all those groups came to live together.
Which is why staying in the hotel buffet is
Mhm.
like, it's choosing not to listen to the island story.
So let's start on the street. The essentials. What's the first thing you have to try?
Dal puri. It's the king of Mauritian street food.
Describe it for us. It sounds amazing.
It's this thin, soft, savory flatbread. But what makes it unique is that the dough is made from ground yellow split peas.
How interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just flour. It's served warm, always in pairs, and the vendor will slop on some mild bean curry, a little bit of spicy pickle called ashard, some chutney,
And then they roll it up.
roll it up like a wrap, and you eat it on the go. It's fast, it's cheap, and it is absolutely delicious. You'll see the lines for it in Port Louis.
Okay, dal puree. What's the other must-have? Snack? Gâteau piment?
Gâteau piment.
Yeah.
Chili cakes. But they're not a cake. They're these little deep-fried balls.
Made from what?
Also from split peas. But this time they're mixed with a lot of fresh chili, coriander, spring onions.
So they've got a kick.
They do. And the texture is amazing. You bite through this super crispy outside and hit this soft, savory, herby inside. And then that little burst of heat from the chili comes through. People eat them for breakfast.
Wow. Okay, moving on from snacks to a proper meal. The curries, but they're different from Indian curries.
Very different. They're generally milder, a bit thinner. They often use a tomato base called rugai with local herbs like thyme. Gives them a lighter, almost brighter flavor profile.
And if you had to pick one specialty curry,
It would have to be the octopus curry,
Yeah.
our rag curry. It's a local masterpiece. And it's always served as a whole meal, with rice, lentils, and a whole bunch of those homemade pickles and chutneys on the side.
and we can't forget the Chinese influence, especially in the capital.
Not at all. In Port Louis, you have to try mine frit. It's the Mauritian version of fried noodles, stir-fried with chicken or prawns. And then there are boulettes.
Steamed dumplings.
Exactly. Little steamed dumplings filled with fish or meat, and they're served floating in this really clear, flavorful broth with cilantro and a bit of chili. The Central Market is the place for that.
And of course, being an island, the fresh seafood.
Oh, for sure. Simple, perfectly grilled fish, giant prawns, just with garlic, butter, and lime eaten right by the beach. That's the dream.
Now, let's talk about what's in the glass. The national drink has to be rum.
It is the story of the island's economy. You'll see sugarcane fields everywhere. And while the local Phoenix beer is a pretty decent light lager,
So good for the heat.
rum is the serious drink, and specifically, high-quality rum agricole.
Okay, let's get into that for a second. What's the difference? What makes it agricole?
So most rum in the world is made from molasses. That's the byproduct, the leftovers from making sugar. Rum agricole is made directly from fresh pressed sugarcane juice. It's not a byproduct.
And how does that change the taste?
It changes everything. It's lighter, it's brighter. It has these complex, kind of grassy, earthy notes. It tastes like the plant it came from. Molasses rum is often heavier, sweeter.
So visiting a distillery is more than just a tasting.
It's a history lesson. Places like Rumerie de Chamarel or La Vanche de Sucre are also museums. They show you how the sugar trade literally shaped the island and its society.
Okay, so the food verdict is a massive, absolute yes. It's why you don't go all-inclusive. Now, let's get into the soul of the island, the nature and the history. So we talked about how rugged this island is. Let's focus on that southwest corner, Black River Gorges National Park.
Yeah, this is the island's green heart. It's the complete antidote to a lazy beach day. It's all lush mountains, deep valleys. It's essential if you want to see the endemic nature.
Is it for serious hikers only? Or can anyone enjoy it?
No, it's really accessible. There are trails for all levels. You can do easy walks to a viewpoint, or you can tackle serious multi-hour hikes that take you down to hidden waterfalls.
And you can see some rare wildlife there.
You can. If you're lucky, you might spot the Mauritian flying fox, or even the pink pigeon, which was brought back from the brink of extinction. Just the sounds of the place are incredible.
And right next to the Gorges is the Chamarel region. This is where you find the geological oddities.
It is. You have two big attractions there. First, the Chamarel waterfall, which is the highest on the island. It's genuinely impressive.
And second, the famous seven-colored Earths.
Right. It's this weird geological curiosity. It's a patch of sand dunes made from volcanic soil that has settled into 7 distinct colors: red, brown, violet, green. It looks almost painted.
But the sources say you need to manage your expectations a bit.
That's a key bit of advice, yeah. The
Yeah.
photos make it look huge. In reality, the site itself is pretty small.
But there's a bonus.
A huge bonus. The site also has an enclosure with giant Aldabra tortoises. And honestly, seeing these ancient, massive creatures is a real highlight. It kind of steals the show.
Okay, moving away from the wild south, there's another important natural stop up north, the Pamplemousses Botanical Garden.
One of the oldest in the Southern Hemisphere. It's famous for one thing in particular: the giant water lilies.
The ones with the massive pads.
Massive. They can be up to 10 feet across. It's just a really beautiful, peaceful, historic place to spend an afternoon.
Okay, let's shift from land back to the water. The catamaran cruises. Everyone seems to do them.
They're the most popular day trip for sure, usually to a place on the East Coast called Île au Surf. The idea is perfect, right? Sailing, snorkeling, a BBQ on the beach.
But the reality can be different.
You can be. Île au Surf, while beautiful, is a victim of its own success. It is packed. It's been described as a well-oiled tourist machine.
So if you're looking for a quiet, secluded beach, this isn't it.
This is not it. If you do go, the advice is to pay a bit more for a smaller, more reputable operator, not the cheapest party boat.
And we really need to pause here for a moment on ethical tourism, specifically around the dolphins.
Yes, this is so important. You'll see a lot of swimming with dolphins tours offered, mostly on the West Coast. And you have to be so careful.
What's the difference between a good tour and a bad one?
An ethical tour will practice passive observation. The boat will keep its distance, let the animals approach if they want to. An unethical operator,
They chase them.
they chase them with multiple boats. They hurt the pod, causing incredible stress, disrupting their feeding, their rest. It's awful.
So the advice is do your research. And if it looks wrong, it is wrong.
Absolutely. If they guarantee a swim or if you see boats hounding the animals, just walk away. Support the good guys.
This sets us up perfectly to talk about the island's most profound sites, where the history is just palpable. Starting with Le Morne, Brabant, it's so much more than a hike.
It's an emotional monument. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its cultural significance, not its natural beauty.
Because of its connection to the history of slavery. The Maroons.
Right. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the steep cliffs of Le Morne were a fortress, a refuge for escaped slaves. The Maroons, they lived up there on the inaccessible plateau to stay free. It was the ultimate symbol of resistance.
And then there's the tragic story from 1835, right when slavery was abolished.
It's a deeply powerful oral history. After abolition, soldiers were sent up the mountain to tell the Maroons that they were finally legally free.
But the Maroons didn't see it that way.
They saw soldiers coming for them and assumed the worst, that they were being recaptured. They thought it was a trick.
So they jumped.
They chose to jump to their deaths from the cliffs rather than be forced back into slavery. It's just this devastating, heartbreaking story that cements Le Morne as sacred ground.
So when you hike there, you're not just getting a view, you're walking through history.
It changes everything. It demands respect. It makes you reflect.
And to understand the other side of the island's demographic story, you have to go to the capital, Port Louis, and visit a Pravasi Ghat.
Yeah, Port Louis itself is a must-see. It's chaotic, it's loud, it's fascinating. But Pravasi Ghat is the other crucial UNESCO site. It tells the story of what came after slavery.
Indentured labor.
After abolition in 1835, the plantation owners needed a new source of cheap labor. So between then and the 1920s, nearly 500,000 indentured laborers were brought to Mauritius.
Mostly from India.
Mostly from India. And Pravasi Ghat, which means immigration depot, was where they all first arrived. It was their first contact with the island.
What would that have been like?
It was a bureaucratic, dehumanizing process. They would come up these stone steps from the sea, go through quarantine, registration, medical checks. They were given a number and then sent off to the sugar plantations.
And the ancestors of most of modern Mauritius's population passed through that very spot.
That's why it's so foundational. Le Morne tells the story of slavery. Pravasi Ghat tells the story of indentured labor. Together, they explain the island's entire identity.
And that Indian heritage is so visible at a place like Grand Bassin.
Or Gunga Talao, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sacred Hindu site built around a crater lake. You have these gigantic statues of Shiva and Durga. It's this serene, beautiful place that's a living testament to the faith. that was carried across the ocean to Apravasi.
So, yeah, Mauritius is definitely not just a beach. Okay, so we've established that this is a deep, complex destination. Now let's get into the final practical advice. What should you actively skip?
Right, let's start with the hard nose, and it's again about ethics. You have to firmly say no to any attraction that involves walking with lions or any kind of close interaction with big cats.
The consensus on this is pretty clear, right? These aren't conservation programs.
Not even close. They're purely for entertainment. The animals are bred in captivity for tourists. All the reputable conservation groups condemn these practices. Put your money toward an actual conservation effort instead.
My next what to skip is more of a mindset. The resort hermit syndrome.
Yes. Cannot say this enough. The resorts are perfect. They're beautiful, polished international bubbles.
But they are not Mauritius.
They are not Mauritius. The real island is the busy village, the spicy street food, the chaotic market. If you never leave the resort, you fundamentally misunderstood why you came all this way.
And for anyone who hates crowds, there's a practical skip.
If you are crowd-averse, skip yellow surfs. It's beautiful, but it's a machine.
And the great thing is you have other options.
So many other options. That's why you have the rental car. Go drive along the south coast, find a public beach at Belle-Ombre. You'll find your own private, stunning stretch of sand that's far more rewarding.
So when you do get out, when you put all these pieces together, what is the actual vibe of the island? What does it feel like?
I think the number one thing that comes through is this incredible sense of multicultural harmony. It's real. It's not just a marketing slogan.
You can see on the streets.
You literally see a Hindu temple, a Christian church, and a Muslim mosque, all in close proximity, all thriving. It feels like a genuine, lived reality.
And for an independent traveler, the functionality of the place is a huge plus.
It makes a huge difference. The roads are good, the internet is reliable, it's just easy to navigate. It takes a lot of the stress out of independent travel.
And the people.
Incredibly warm, gentle, friendly. It's consistently rated as one of the safest places you can travel. You just feel very welcomed.
And I love that final point about the juxtaposition, the two worlds living side by side.
It's fascinating. You leave the gates of a perfectly manicured five-star resort, and 2 minutes down the road, you're in a real village.
Yeah.
Kids playing football, people chatting at the corner shop. Life is just happening.
And the fact that you can so easily move between those two worlds is what makes it so special.
It's what makes it so rich.
Okay, we've landed the plane. We have covered the logistics, the regions, the food, the history. We started with this idea of a massive commitment. So now, the final verdict. Is Mauritius worth it?
The consensus from everything we've looked at is a very strong, unequivocal yes.
But, there's but.
There's a huge condition. It's only worth that time and money if you treat it as an active, cultural, historical deep dive, not just a fly and flop beach holiday.
The expense of the flight has to be justified by the depth of your engagement.
100%. That plane ticket only makes sense if you rent the car, eat the street food, hike the gorges, and truly take the time to understand the stories of Le Morne and Apravasi.
Otherwise, you're just overpaying for sunshine.
You are. Sunshine you can find closer and for less money.
But the value is there if you do it right.
It really is. The hotels can be pricey, but local food is cheap. The car rental is reasonable. You can balance the budget and get this incredible cultural saturation. It's worth it for the honeymooner who wants adventure, for the family who wants culture. It's worth it.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. We've talked about these two foundational histories of the island, the tragedy of slavery at Le Morne, and the massive migration of indentured labor through Apravasi.
It's a complex, painful, layered origin story. So the question to ponder is this. How did that specific history, a history built on displacement, on coercion, on forced labor, somehow result in a modern society that is widely seen as one of the most stable, most functional, and most genuinely harmonious democracies in the entire region?
That journey from that profound hardship to this current multicultural peace, that's the real story of the jewel of the Indian Ocean.
It's the ultimate measure of the island's character. Travel well, travel wisely, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.